Hey everybody, Ryan F. MTG here. We've already talked about the new cards from the Force Seekers for red and green. Now it's time to talk about the purple cards. I already kind of talked about Ascend in a whole, but I do kind of want to just lead into purple a little bit, where purple right now has two main variants in their decks. It's a big Resonate style deck, as well as a 4 MP Morgan, or kind of now the 3.5 MP Morgan. I'm very curious to see where the new cards will line up in those two archetypes, because usually the big Resonate style decks don't usually want to play a ton of units, especially low cost units, and definitely don't want to be sacrificing their units. So I feel like it will be kind of hard for Ascend units to be going into the big Resonate style decks. However, I could definitely see some of the Ascend units going into the 4 Morgan or 3.5 Morgan, because those play a lot of smaller, 3 and 4 MP units that, like when other units die or kind of just get pumped and wants, growth units, stuff like that. So Ascend triggers, after something trades a little bit, sacrificing it to Ascend to get a bigger unit seems pretty good. Or is this set just going to give purple enough new toys to kind of just make its own new deck? So why don't we look at some cards and see what purple has to offer. First up is Jury. It's 3 MP for a 2/3. When played, gives -1 attack to the unit in front. Okay, pretty decent, nothing great. However, if it's ascended, it gets +1/+4. That means for 3 MP, this will be a 3/7 that gives -1 attack to the unit in front. That -1 attack stays forever. It's not just for 1 attack or something like that. So overall, Jury, it doesn't look super flashy, but I think she's pretty good, especially if you are playing the 3.5 Morgan or a ton of low MP cost units. I could definitely see Jury making it into that type of shell. Next up, we have a 3 MP unit that's a 2/4. It says Death grants shield to a random friendly unit. This is pretty nice because that shield does not need to be ascended on, or you can, ascend Jury on this and then this will trigger and give something shield. So this is definitely fodder for ascend. However, I'm not sure if it's good enough fodder because we already have a lot of growth units or 4 MP units that we want to play anyways. So I'm not sure if we really need this 3 MP 2/4. Yes, shield is good, but I kind of think I want a little bit more from my fodder, so I think I'm going to pass on this card. Great Joggeress is a 3 MP for 1/5, and it says when a friendly unit other than itself dies, it gets +1/+2. That's actually pretty good. 3 MP is a very low cost, it's a nice curve filler for sure. +1/+2 is pretty good. However, the 1/5 body, it's not terrible because 5 HP is a lot, but 1 attack is not a lot. But you get 1 trigger, it becomes a 2/7. That's starting to get pretty big. Also, it's good if you are ascending or just trading off, so this can get big. I'm just not sure if this really will find a home. I think it's good, not great, and so I think I'm going to pass on it for now. This Demon Bird's an interesting one. It's 3 MP for a 2/3 with Flight. Right there, that's actually kind of good because Flight is evasion, it can hit for a little bit. 2/3 is nothing too great, but 3 MP is a low cost. It says when played, it adds 2 of them to your EX pocket from your deck. That's awesome. So if you play this one, you don't have any in your hand, none have died, this is the first one you draw, it's kind of like play this and get 2 in your EX pocket. However, if you have 2 in your opener, it's almost kind of like a mulligan. We've kind of seen this effect before with Lightning Bolt, stuff like that. I like this card. Also, this gives you a lot of fuel for some Ascend and just a fine body in and of itself. But this is definitely a 0 of or a 3 of. And I'm not quite sure if a 3 of is good, if this is a good enough unit to warrant a 3 of. Palermo is a 3 MP 1/6 with Flight. That's not great. 6 is a ton of HP, but 1 attack is not good for your evasion creature. However, it has ascended, it gains agility, which is okay, it's going to hit harder, well not harder, just faster in the air, and halts a unit in front for 13 seconds. So this is going to get a lot of chip damage in, especially if you can ascend it, because it's going to be hitting for 1, but it has agility, so it's going faster, and it's going to kind of save itself because it's going to be halting the unit in front. So I think it's cool that this little monster is just this big fluff ball in the air poking the opponent over and over and over again. However, I don't think it's good enough. I definitely don't really feel like this is my Ascend payoff. Next up is Silent Assassin. This is a very interesting card. This is one of the 2 legendary units in purple. So it's 3 MP for 1/1. It's like, okay, a 1/1 is trash in this game. That is not a good amount. However, it has Rush and Veil. It also says, when you deal attack damage to an enemy unit, remove the unit that was dealt damage from the game. That's pretty cool. So this is almost just like removal on a stick, right? On a unit. It doesn't need a trade. It just needs to deal 1 damage. It's almost like Poisonous in other games, right? Where it's just like no matter how much damage it's doing, it kills the unit. However, there's a downside. Death, it gives you -2 to your max MP. So usually if you're just doing mono purple, your max MP is 10. So this means if it dies, your max MP becomes 8. That could be a little risky. Also, you might be like, oh, this could be cool to play in a green deck with shield, stuff like that. Well, your max MP is 5. If this dies, then it's 3. You kind of can't do that. Overall, I don't know. I could see this card being actually pretty good, especially in purple decks that are playing halt spells, because this has Rush and Veil. So you can play this, halt the unit in front, this pokes it, it destroys it. That's pretty good. However, the opponent can play around that. You might get 1 removal out of this, but the opponent then could just kind of leave that board blank for a while. Kind of almost like when you're playing Slow Tyrant in a lot of Wesker decks or even Nergigante decks. Your opponent can kind of just like ignore that lane that the Slow Tyrant is on and just pretend like it doesn't exist. However, sometimes they kind of need to play something. Also, a 1/1 body is so weak. Yes, it has Veil, so they can't Hadoken it. They can't target it with Obliteration or something. However, they can just play BB Hood, right? And it only has 1 HP, so most likely a BB Hood or any ETB creature unit from Ryu will kill this. So it's very, very fragile. However, if you kind of just think about this as maybe a one-shot removal, because it does have Rush, so you can play this, and it has Veil and stuff, so you can play this one-shot removal for 3 MP. That's pretty good. The downside is something to think of, where this is probably not going into color decks, unfortunately, and you definitely, if you are playing this in your purple decks, you don't really want to be playing 9 or 10 MP cards, but think of this as a one-shot removal and maybe trying to make it a little bit more than that. I think overall this is good. I definitely want to play with it to kind of see how it feels in action. Next up is Ori. 4 MP for a 2/4. Nothing great, that's not awesome. However, it has Ascend. It gets +1 attack and gains reduce any damage taken to 1. That's actually pretty cool. The +1 attack means that it's going to be a 3/4, so that's actually hitting hard and being able to like hit creatures or just your opponent hard, and it reduces any damage taken to 1. Usually it's, damage taken 3 or less reduces to 1, but that means if they Hadoken this, it's just 1 damage. So only having 4 HP is not super terrible on this unit because it's going to take a lot of hits, as well as it is 3 power. So overall, I think this is a pretty good card. Yes, you do have to sacrifice a unit. However, this is going to stick around and do either a lot of damage to your opponent or to your opponent's unit. So overall, I think this is a card definitely to test out and play with. Rose is a 4 MP for 3/1. It has shield, so 3/1 with shield makes it a little bit able to stick around, and has Resonate, adds 1 action card from your deck to your EX pocket. That means basically all of your action cards are cantrips, right? They're all 4 sites. You play a halt and you get to draw a card to your EX pocket, assuming your EX pocket is not full, so you kind of need to make sure that maybe you're using your actions in your EX pocket over the ones in your hand. That's actually a really cool effect that we haven't really seen on a unit before in Teppen. However, I don't know if it's something we need, because usually a lot of the big Resonate style decks don't want to be playing a ton of units. They want to be playing heavy hitter ones, and you're usually playing a lot of action spells. And yes, there are some games where you have all units and very little action, so you can't, play Foresight, and stuff like that and trigger Ibuki Resonate so much. However, a lot of times it's okay, because this doesn't help to cast those action cards that you're drawing. It doesn't give you more MP to actually play them. It just helps you to always make sure that you are having enough. And I don't know if you really need this effect. I think it's a cool effect. I do think it's powerful, But kind of in Teppen, how you always, you play a card and you always get to draw. I don't think you need it in Teppen, because in Magic or other card games, you might play a card and you're usually only drawing one card per turn, so usually card draw is a lot more important. In Teppen, like I said, you play a card and you draw a card already, so I don't think this is as important as it is in other card games. 5 MP for 4/5. That's actually like, that's a pretty big body. It has Ascend of plus 3 HP and gains combo. So if you ascend this, it's going to become a 4/8 with combo. That hits extremely hard and has quite a bit of HP, where it kind of forces your opponent to either trade quite a few units or like a big unit for this. Overall, that's a really good size stats, and also combo is just going to hit so hard. Usually Purple isn't into this type of thing. Usually its win cons are much more the big resonate style decks, or just like a lot of little creatures. But I feel like this could almost add into a 3.5 Morgan. Yes, it is 5 MP. That's a little bit higher than you usually want to play, but the payoff is there. So overall, I think the payoff is there. Urine is 5 MP for a 3/6 and says, when played, if friendly units have had the Ascend status 3 or more times, it returns the unit in front cost 5 MP or less to the owner's EX pocket. That's actually a pretty good effect. 5 MP for a 3/6, that's not great, but that's actually not a terrible stat. So 3/6 is a body, right? It's not super fragile, but it's not a heavy hitter. And bouncing a 5 MP or less card, that's going to bounce a ton of things. It does need to be the unit in front, so you do kind of need to play around that, and you do need to sacrifice a creature. I think and also you do need to also have the Ascend trigger 3 times, which that's the biggest hoop to jump through in my mind. This definitely wants to be into a Ascend deck, not just like, oh, I have a couple, 3 and 4 MP creatures and a couple Ascend cards that just get pumped, or, draw me a card or something. No, this needs to make sure your Ascend status can always be 3 or higher. And so far, I haven't been seeing a ton of purple cards that I'm loving with the Ascend, because you can't just play 3 Ascend creatures, right? You need to be playing more for this. And bounce is powerful, but overall, I don't think that's a powerful enough effect. I could be wrong, but just compare this to the 4 MP Morgan cards, where usually it was just like, oh, you need a 4 MP creature, and then you play Beltway and it bounces something. That's a lot easier, and you're not having to sacrifice anything. So overall, I feel like we've seen this in other purple units, and this is a little bit weaker of a version of that. Eris is 5 MP for a 3/6, and if it's ascended, it gets plus 4 HP, and gives all your other units, excluding itself, -1 battle damage taken by friendly units. That's actually a kind of cool effect. It helps your other units to stay alive. Also, it's a 4 HP, so that means it's a 3/10. This means it will be kind of hard to kill. So this will be like staying alive, soaking up some damage, and letting your other maybe smaller, weaker units, or maybe your heavy hitter units, stay around a little bit longer. I'm not in love with this card though. I think it's a good effect, but it's not halting your enemy units, it's not killing your enemy units, it's not even bouncing them, it's just helping your units stay around, and that seems a little fragile in my opinion. I could see this card not doing enough in a game to really not warrant it into a deck. Victor is a big monster. It's 6 MP for a 4/6. That's not too big. However, if it's ascended, it gets plus 5 HP, so it becomes a 4/11, which is just gigantic. And you gain 2 MP. So this almost just costs 4 MP. Yes, you have to have 6 MP to play it, but you're already netting 2 more. So that's actually kind of good. This is actually a pretty cheap investment in my mind. Yes, you do have to sacrifice a creature, and that's always the caveat with Ascended, but I feel like the payoff is pretty good. Having a 6 MP that's kind of a 2 MP unit that then becomes a 4/11 is a big hitter. I actually do like this card. It's not super flashy. It's just like, oh, it's a big beater. It's Frankenstein's monster, right? So overall, I like this card. Sea Viper is a 6 MP for 1/7 with combo. It has Resonate of +1 attack, and when it dies, it goes back to your EX pocket. this is a pretty good card, and it hits so hard, especially giving it flight or devil trigger or some other evasion, because +1 attack, if this isn't a big resonate style deck, this can get to 2, 3, 4, 5 so fast. And with combo, if this is a 5/7, so you've triggered it 4 times, which isn't that hard in those type of decks, this is hitting for 10 damage. That's so much. However, usually big resonate style decks want HP as well. So you could be playing your cards gaining HP so it's not dying to BB hoods and other Ryu effects. So this is a little bit weaker, but it hits harder and it can finish the game faster. So it's like, okay, do you want a weaker unit that can finish the game faster, or maybe units that drag the game out a little bit? So, we do have quite a few good big resonate style units already. And so this has very big shoes to fill. However, I'm kind of curious. I think this might be able to fill it and changing up a couple of the actions in those type of decks. So I'm not 100% sold on Sea Viper, but definitely very interesting and build around for sure. This demon is 6 MP for 2/5. With Ascend, it gets +2 attack and gains reduces any damage taken to 1. So that means if it is Ascended, it will be a 4/5 with reducing all damage to 1. We've kind of seen this on lower MP units. That's why I'm a little off this card. 6 MP is a lot. I feel like purple has a lot of legendaries or other cards that it would want to be playing for 6 MP. And we've seen this on, what was it, a 4 MP unit, maybe a 5 MP unit. And this is a good thing. Like, having a 4/5 that's very hard to kill is nice, but 6 MP is a little too high in my opinion. Okay, the second legendary for purple of the set, it's Golden Lady. It's 6 MP for a 2/8. It's like, okay, tell me more. It has Veil, so super hard to kill, and Spillover, so it's going to do a lot of damage. It also has Resonate +1 attack, which is great because Spillover, when you have more attack, equals more damage to the adjacent creatures. It does have a downside. The downside is when this dies, it adds 2 cards from your deck to your opponent's EX pocket. That's kind of a weird downside. So your opponent gets 2 of your cards in their EX pocket. However, if their EX pocket is full, they don't get those cards. But let's just say they get 2 cards. Maybe they're bad cards. Maybe they're just like Foresights or a Halt spell or something like that. But you also don't want to be giving them a Halt spell because Halt spells are good. Or maybe they take your Ibuki or your Win Cons or your Brainwash. So there is some RNG of like, what 2 cards are you giving them? Are they very good cards or are they bad cards? Also, what's very good in your deck might not be very good for their deck. But there are some just powerful cards, period. I like this card though. I think a 6 MP 2/8 with Resonate, Veil, Spillover, this is going to do a lot of damage, and I think more times than not it's going to do so much damage that yes, when it dies, when your opponent can finally kill it, yeah, give them 2 cards and that's fine. I still think you'll be so far ahead in that game more times than not, especially that it has Veil. Veil is the humongous one because that means you can't play this and they cannot just obliterate it or hard removal. That means they need to trade this off with other units. This one is a 7 MP for 4/7. 7's a lot of MP. A 4/7's a fine body. And it says when played, you explore for Twin Familiars. Twin Familiars is a 5 MP for 3/5 with Rush and Combo. That's actually kind of cool. Like those stats aren't great, but Rush and Combo, that hits hard and very, very fast. However, if you ascend this, it places 1 Twin Familiar, so the one that you just put in your EX pocket, from your own EX pocket onto the field. That's kind of cool. So if you sacrifice a creature, this comes on the field, and then one of your little wolf pup friends comes on the field, and that's going to hit very hard because they have to deal with this and the wolf. So overall, those are 2 very good bodies, but this is 7 MP, and I know I said this before, I'm not sure if that's what purple wants to be playing, because 7 MP is usually your Win Cons and big Resonate style decks, or sometimes they're 5 or 6 MP, so 7 is a little bit high, and for like a 3.5 Morgan dot deck, you don't really want to be playing 7 MP units. Also, you have to make sure that there is an actual board slot for Twin Familiars, because a lot of times if you're playing a lot of units, there might not be another board slot to get this Twin Familiars right away, and so then you're kind of really throwing away a lot of value. So there's setup cost that isn't too hard to set up and make this card fine, but overall I don't know if that setup cost is worth it at 7 MP. Nightmare Mother is an interesting one. It's 9 MP for a 2/8, and it says when played, places Nightmare Mother onto the field. While on the field, +2 attack to all friendly Nightmare Mothers, excluding self. So it brings a friend and also pumps its friends. That's going to be a big board of just, 4/8s, right? Or just if you have another one, then it's getting, it's a 6/8. That's kind of cool. But I feel like what I've been saying, 9 MP is a lot. I'm not sure if this is really the win con, because this doesn't have Veil. Yes, these are big bodies. 8 is pretty hard, so like opponent can't just Hadouken this or something like that. Overall, I think this card is cool. I like the whole brings a friend, kind of like what we just saw with the wolf and stuff like that. But I'm not sure for 9 MP if this is really going to fit in a purple deck. The first action of purple is 1 MP. It's called Swirling Bloodlust. If you've ascended 3 times or more this battle, it gives -1 attack to all enemy units. And that stays. It's not just for 1 attack, that stays. So that's actually a pretty cool effect. Kind of nerfing -1 to all your enemy units is nice, but you need to ascend 3 or more times. So this definitely, you have to put this in an ascend package. Yes, you could put this in a big Resonate style deck and just have this be a 1P action that isn't really doing anything, but we have better things. We have Replicating, we have Foresight, we have better things to do, or even Jackpot, right? This is a better Jackpot that sticks around and does it to all, but Jackpot is just easy and we don't usually play Jackpot that much. We have enough purple unit or actions. So overall, I think this is a strong card, but too many hoops to jump through and not really worth it. The Empress is a 2 MP action. If friendly unit on the field has the Ascend status, it negates an action card with 5 MP or less. This is actually a really powerful negate spell because this is just 2 MP to negate something 5 MP or less. However, the big hoop to jump through is you need a ascended status unit on the field at that time. It's not just throughout the game, it's at that time. So if you are playing quite a few ascend units, this is definitely almost like a payoff, right? It's a payoff of your gain to negate stuff that is way high MP for your very low cost MP. All Seeing Eye is a pretty cool one. It's 2 MP, and it says draw 1 card and put it into your EX pocket, so kind of like Foresight. However, if you've ascended 3 or more times this battle, you also gain 2 MP, so then it's kind of completely free, or if you do this in response to something, it's free and then you ramped. That's actually a pretty cool effect. You're drawing cards and ramping, or just using free cards. Usually free cards are broken. And so yet again, I'll say, if you can get that Ascend status to 3 or higher in a game, this is an awesome card. Also, it's not completely dead. If you don't have that Ascend status at all, if this was an awkward hand or awkward game for you, you can just cantrip this away. Yes, 2 MP just to cantrip this away is a little bit higher than other cards we have, but it's not complete trash. That's what I like about this card. Worst case scenario, it's fine. Best case scenario, it's pretty good. Overall, something I definitely want to play in an Ascend package. Bangle of Time is 2 MP, and it says lock an opponent's empty board slot for 10 seconds. My first question about this is this better than your average 2 or 3 or even 1 MP halt spell? And I'm not quite sure, because locking an opponent's empty board slot for 10 seconds is a good effect, right? Because you play your Ibuki and then you lock the board spot in front of Ibuki so they can't play any units for a while. Yes, they can play units above or below that board spot, but like not where Ibuki is. And 10 seconds is a while. That is a pretty good effect. I'm just wondering if this is really better than most of the halt spells, because this is a little bit more situational, right? It needs to be empty, and usually a lot of times when we're playing a lot of halt spells, we might not have tons of removal. So I feel like you kind of play this over halt spells. I feel like halt spells are overall better, but I definitely feel like I need to play with this a little bit more to actually get the feel of this card. Ceasefire, on the other hand, I think is a pretty good card. It's 2 MP, it's legendary. Usually purple legendary actions are kind of wonky. And this says lock all empty board slots for 10 seconds. This is, I think, very good because it's all empty board spot. So it's just more. It's 10 seconds, so it's the same amount as the previous action, but it's just all of them. So if you quickly play a Ibuki, then play this, they cannot play any units for 10 seconds. I think that's really good. Also, this is just so low of a cost. So I really, really do like this card. And I think this is just going to fit into a lot of purple decks, even if you're not the big Resonate style deck. Glare is 3 MP and it gives -1 attack to an enemy unit. Okay, that's cool. It sticks around, so that's a little bit better. If you've ascended status at least once this battle, you gain 1 MP. So a little bit of ramp. We've kind of saw that in some card draw. Overall, I like that card draw ramp. I don't really like Glare. -1 attack, I would almost rather just draw a card. And yes, ascend status at least once is pretty easy, right? Usually a lot of other cards we see ascend status 3 or something like that. So once is pretty easy, but just netting 1 MP is not that much. And also this is 3 MP base level. So that makes me a little off Glare. Quicksand is 3 MP, and it says return an enemy unit with MP cost 4 or less without the Ascend status to their owner's deck. This is a cool effect. It's a bounce spell. It's 4 or less MP, which is kind of restricting. I kind of wish it was like 5 MP or less, because then you can do like Chun-Li and other heavy hitters, but 4 or less is pretty fine. But the another hoop is it can't have the Ascended status, which kind of stinks, because like, what if you're getting killed? What if the only unit your opponent has on board and you're getting killed by it is a Ascended status creature? That kind of stinks. So this is a little bit more of a niche card. However, your opponent's probably going to have a lot of cards without the Ascended status, so I don't think it's going to be completely dead. And, you know, 3 MP is not that much, but overall, like, yes, it's a good bounce spell, but I don't know. I kind of want my bounce on a creature, or I want my other actions to be triggering Resonate in a different way. So I like this card. I'm just not super high on it by any means. The last one up is Lava Armor. This is 4 MP, and it says return 1 enemy unit that costs 3 MP or less to the EX pocket. That's not that good. You know, we just looked at a card that was better because it was lower cost. This is 4 MP for also just 3 MP or less. That's very, very narrow. However, if you've had the Ascend status 3 or more times this battle, you can return any enemy unit to their EX pocket, which that is actually really good. Yes, it's going to their EX pocket, where actually Quicksand, you know what, Quicksand's a little bit better because it's going to the deck. So I think I like Quicksand a little bit more just thinking about it and looking at Lava Armor. However, to the EX pocket, you know, that means they just need to gain some more MP and they can play it. But bouncing anything is so powerful. But there's hoops to jump through. You need to ascend 3 or more times, which can kind of be a little hard. And the base level of this card is 4 MP to bounce a 3 MP unit. That is not good. The ceiling is pretty high, right? 4 MP to bounce anything to their owner's EX pocket is pretty high. But I feel like the floor is a little bit too low for me to really be that hyped about this card. Overall, Purple got some interesting cards. I think we definitely got some cards that will easily fit into maybe a big Resonate style deck, maybe even in a different, like Sea Viper. Is that going to be the new win con of them? I'm not quite sure, but I'm definitely excited to test it out. Also, just some cards that will fit into the 3.5 or 4 Morgan, not necessarily like they needed any help. Or we kind of have enough Ascend stuff and some Ascend payoffs where I wonder if that whole package will shift. So Purple definitely has some hits, some misses, but definitely some cards I'm very eager to try out. Next time we'll be talking about Black, which is the last color. So thanks all for watching. I'll see you all next time.